Hey, Hickok 45 here. You know, we've done several AR-15s over the years, and it seems like most of them are higher priced AR-15s, just by coincidence, by chance, mostly. We've had a lot of requests to look at some of the lower end AR-15s, the budget AR-15s, because believe it or not, the world is still looking for AR-15s. There are a lot of people getting into firearms, or they just don't have an AR yet. I hear from them almost every day asking me what is the best AR for certain price ranges. You know, now if they go down to $300, I don't know, I send them to Cambodia or somewhere, but typically they're asking, what's the best AR do you think under like 800, under 1,000, or you know, in that neighborhood, or under 7? And I'm familiar with some of them, and I know there are quite a few out there, and I've been very familiar with the M&P Sport, just have never gotten one. And they're usually widely available. The new Ruger AR556, you know, a couple of them that are in the $600–700 range. And so we've kind of made an effort to get our hands on some of the AR-15, not 10 of them or anything, but at least for now we want to look at 2 or 3 AR-15s that you could make your own. After all, no home is complete without an AR-15. That you can make your own for like $600–700, okay? And it would work, right? Okay, if you're going to Afghanistan tomorrow, maybe you want a $1,200 AR-15. But that technology has been around a long time. There's no huge mysteries if you're in the firearms manufacturing business, I guess, in terms of how to build a fairly quality AR-15. So there should be some good ones at those lower prices, and I think there are. And from my reading and what people tell me, there really are. So we're going to look at a couple here, or 3. So come on over with me and look what we found on the table. Pretty cool, huh? Look at all those evil black rifles. We've got the M&P Sport there, and this one that's taken apart partially is the Ruger AR556. We're going to be looking at those, okay? And, you know, over the next few weeks, we'll sprinkle those in. And then we're going to look today at this one. This is the Adams Arms. This is actually a piston gun. Got all through. So I'm going to do a little comparison just in gas system and thing. That's why I've got this one apart today, the Ruger. But mainly we want to focus on this particular one, which again, it's in the $600–700 range, which is pretty reasonable for a piston gun, isn't it? And from what I understand, Adams Arms has a pretty good reputation, and pretty good reputation for a piston-driven AR, okay? Part of the reason is this one is it's considered a blim, you know, blemished gun cosmetically. But we couldn't find a blemish though. Could not find one. My solution to that, where's my knife? Let's put a blemish on this thing to make sure it's blemished. What should I carve on that thing? You think I should carve? I'm sorry, just being in a silly mood. But yeah, it's a blim, so it falls, in this case, into the same price range category. So if you're interested in like piston guns, you know, they're available too at a reasonable price. They tend to be a little more expensive, all right? And for those who don't know what the heck I'm talking about, you might not know what I'm ever talking about, but a piston gun operates a little bit differently. And I'm going to do you just a little quick comparison there to give you an idea if you don't know. But this one is a piston gun, and let's see if it works, okay? AR-15, this one's the AA15, okay? No relation to the AA12, I guess. Do I have my ears? Yes. Let's find some ammo. Yeah, we got some Federal. Now these mags are some of the 223, and I've got some 556, and it's all about the same, right? All right, I think I've got the sights on pretty well. I put a little white dot on that front one to help me see it. I had to buy the sights to put on. You know, a lot of the ARs don't come with sights, of course, because they know you're going to put on your favorite sights. All right, piston-driven AR-15. I don't think we've ever had just a standard AR carbine version, kind of lower end in a piston gun. All right, so let's take just a couple of shots. Even though it's a piston-driven gun, it's still loud. I think I'll just start out over there. It's a dusty day. I love it. Try that little one. Oh, nice. Yeah, sights are pretty much on. I'm gonna try a 2 liter while I'm over there. All right. Let's go ahead and pop one here. Yeah, it has let me show you briefly here. If you're not familiar with how pistons work, of course we're empty now. Click. You have an adjustment right here for your gas piston. Push that little button, and if you turn it over to the left, counterclockwise, you can take the the piston out. And oops. Sorry, I probably hit some of our viewers in the face with that. And over here, I think that, well, I don't think, I know that notch is for a suppressed, so it changes your gas system. Then over at 3 o'clock is for single shot. That's the New Jersey setting. So if you have it right there, when you fire, it's a single shot. You'll have to, work the bolt, okay? So, and it works. I've experimented with that. So you get a little setting there. You can control the amount of gas that is released. Okay, so that's a piston. We'll take it apart in a minute. I think I might want to empty this magazine. Get it good and hot. Okay. All right. Let's do a little pot smoking before it gets too late. All right. Yeah, look at that smoke. Don't you love it? Don't you love it? Woo. Gotta be careful. Not aim too low. Nice. Okay, come on, quit messing around, hit it. Oh, yeah, pretty cool. Let's empty it. Dusty day, yeah. Feels good. Again, it's got your standard furniture, standard Mil-spec trigger, tube, and stock, and forearm and all that kind of thing. So, but it's a piston gun. Adams Arms. Now, my research on Adams Arms, I've heard a lot of their ads and everything, and you tell me if I'm wrong, what your opinion is, and everybody's got opinions on ARs, right? Lots of experts out there. What do you think of Adams Arms? As far as I know, they seem to be a pretty good company. I'm sure someone's had a lot of trouble with their Adams Arms AR-15. Somebody's had a lot of trouble with anything you can mention, and is very upset with them, right? But by and large, I couldn't find much negative on Adams Arms. And from my reading and studying, and in my shooting this over the last 4 or 5 days, their piston guns seem to be pretty well respected. Well, I mean, not that their other guns are not, but their piston system, and let me show you, I'll take that out this time, see how warm it's gotten. There you go, let's take it out. All right. And I'm going to take this down. This was really tight when I first, had to use a punch to get it open. One thing helps is if you release the bolt. Okay, there we go. And we've got a spring-loaded bolt because it is a piston system. Okay, so you see you have a different. You don't have your gas key. You just got this deal here where the piston pushes against that. I'm gonna put these over here. Oh, the thing is warm. Wonder why? And it just pushes against this. That's all you need. You don't need to be shooting gas down into the bolt, right, into the carrier. See, so that just pushes against that and pushes the bolt and carrier back. Okay, it just pushes it. It doesn't release a lot of gas and dirt down into the bolt area. As they say with the direct impingement system, which a lot of ARs are historically, and still, it throws up on itself every time you pull the trigger because all the gas comes back through that tube down into that to force it back. Okay, this just pushes on it. Okay, and in fact, it just it right here, this little cup, it's kind of hot. I think it just moves about that much, about a half an inch or an inch or so, and just pushes it back with enough force to where it pushes the whole bolt and carrier back, picks up another round. And it's supposed to be self-cleaning, and it seems to be. I have not cleaned it at all since I've had the gun. I've shot it quite a bit, and it scrapes in there and just sort of self-cleans itself. And from what I understand, that cup helps it. You get the gases in there, of course, and they pushes against that, and it comes out and it's slowed down a little bit. So it's supposed to be very efficient, okay? So pretty interesting based on how you have it turned and all that. I showed you that when it was in the gun. But the dirt with a gas, the advantage of a gas, one of the advantages of a gas system, piston system, is that's about the only part that gets filthy right there, okay? And I feel like I could shoot that a long time, not have to worry about cleaning it yet. But that's where the dirt is, okay? And the neat thing about it, I have not cleaned this bolt. It's just the way it is. And if I had been firing it, it was a direct impingement system, it would be filthy. It would have been filthy a long time ago. And even the firing pin, it's not that dirty. And the cam, it looks really like I just took it apart and cleaned it and then put it back together. See, normally you have all kinds of carbon around there, deposits, serious deposits right there. Okay. Now this does use a little spring to keep it forward because you don't have the piston rings or the gas rings there that you have on a normal bolt. Okay. So let me see if I can get it back together if I remember how to reassemble one of these. Okay. Put the cam back in. And since you don't have those rings and everything, it is a little bit simpler to put back together. Yeah. Put the firing pin in, but definitely need the firing pin. Okay. Back in there. Okay, so a little bit different. You don't have the. Let me show you like John showed you that already. But on your regular bolt, you have the gas tube. Throwing gas into the gas key and going down into the bolt, and forcing it back just from the propulsion of all the gases and everything. All right, so you don't have that with this. You just got the end of this pushing against it. All right. Okay, and for those, again, the reason I have the forearm off of this Ruger is you got a hole up here in the barrel, of course. We've demonstrated this in another video, gas operating systems, I think. I forget what it was called. But the gas comes up, goes through that tube. That's what this is. I didn't take that out. This is an extra gas tube I have. So it just goes through the tube, back into, and you can see it up in there, and the bolt would be up in there, and it would engage right with the gas key and throw the gases back into that. That's direct impingement. Just the gas directly impinging on the bolt and carrier. All right, so just a quick little lame explanation of that for you. You don't have that exact system with a piston system. Most of you know exactly what I'm talking about. Well, I don't know about most of you, but a lot of you do probably. All right. And as far as this thing is concerned, this Adams Arms, seems like a solid gun. Again, it's got a lot of just regular Mil-spec parts, and that's why it's available for whatever $650 or $700 for a gas piston-driven AR. They generally run more money, a fair amount, and they're a little bit heavier often. This one weighs 6.5 pounds. So it's not, I don't pick it up and think, wow, that is heavy. I really don't. I picked up some regular ARs, depending on what people have on them. And sometimes it's just the forearm that some come with. They're just heavy guns. So I don't really notice this one being heavy. Now you could hang some stuff on it and make it heavier, of course. But it feels all right. And what I was talking about before I was rudely interrupted by myself is some of the disadvantages of a piston gun are the fact that it's generally a little bit heavier, they're more expensive, and a little more complex. The piston system up here has got to work, and generally they do. My Scar 17, is a piston-driven gun. A lot of guns are, and it's a different sort of animal than these, but it works beautifully. So I'm not afraid of a piston gun. I've not made the switch. I think about I'll be putting this back in as I'm yakking at you, but I think it's been 2, 3, 4 years ago. These piston guns started coming out, and people, let's put this in first, getting excited about them. And, it was like, oh boy, that's the coming thing. Everybody's going to be selling their direct impingement guns and going to a piston system. That really has not happened. I think with some it probably has. But the old gas or the impingement system, direct impingement system, it still serves the military well, and it works. You keep it clean, and it does pretty well. At least that's what soldiers tell me. All right. However, you will hear some positive things about this. I talked to a soldier works at a gun shop up in Clarksville just the other day at Tennessee Gun Country, and he served at least one tour, I think more, in Iraq, and he had a piston gun. I don't know what kind it was, but he was very fond of it. He loved it over there in the sand, that powdery sand, and was very, very complimentary of it. Said that thing just worked, and he didn't even worry about the bolt getting dirty and all that. He just really liked it. Sounded like he was sold on them, but you hear both sides of that. So I'm not here to try to sell you, a piston-driven gun versus direct impingement. That's for certain. Most of my guns are direct impingement. This is kind of growing on me, though. I've been shooting this for a while, and there's something, I get that same feeling when I take my SCAR apart. After I've been firing it for a while, take it apart, you take the bolt out and everything, and it's like, what's wrong with this picture? It's like the Twilight Zone. It's like you just cleaned it and put it back together. There's nothing on it. And so it's kind of a weird thing. Now, certainly when you go up to the piston, the gas piston, and take it out, it's got some carbon on it. But I don't know. You tell me if I'm wrong. I think all else being equal, the dirt you get, the carbon buildup that you eventually get with a piston doesn't probably gum up the works as quickly. You got to get some gas somewhere, right? I think the piston probably is going to go longer before you have problems than, say, the bolt and all the crud going into the bolt. Okay, now if you keep them clean, they're all fine, both kinds. That's just my impression, that you could probably fire this gun or any gas system piston-driven gun longer before cleaning it without fear of hanging up. That's kind of my impression of things. You might have a different opinion or know from experience, but that's kind of the feeling I get about it. So that's kind of direct impingement. Now this particular gun does have melanite, nitrite coating inside and outside on the barrel, and I understand that's good stuff, and some manufacturers are using that instead of chrome lining, like on the interior of the barrel. I used to think chrome lined barrel was like the ultimate, but I have learned over the years that it's good protection, but for folks who want extreme accuracy, they veer away from that a barrel that doesn't have the chrome line can actually be more accurate, because it's hard to chrome line a barrel, the inside of a barrel, perfectly evenly. Okay, that's my understanding. I've never tried it, so I don't know for sure. All right, I'm going to take a couple more shots. All right, let's put a 40 rounder in there. All right, did I get everything back together properly now? When you're talking, you're yakking, you're trying to think, you got to be careful. Okay. I tell you what, one thing that was cool, I bought the sights and put them on this firearm. These don't come with sights, and I always dread that. Okay, let's go out and sight it in. I got them on there. I don't think I put them on backwards this time, did I? And I'll be darned, I took some shots and it was just like right where I want it. So that's always nice when that happens. Doesn't always happen. What have we not shot? There's another 2-liter over there. I don't know if you even knew that was there, John. Sitting down there low on that stand on the hill over there. I'll see if I can pop him. After bragging about the sights, go about missing. We have a piece of a cinder block over there too, I think. All right. Even though it's a Mil-spec trigger, it's not horrible. I could live with that if I had to. Oh boy, let's take, while we got plenty of ammo, let's take out that 5-gallon jug. Oh man, ARs are fun, no doubt about it. Shall we shoot the watermelon while I'm on a roll? Get that little plate again. Pretty cool. Had to empty that magazine, sorry. Oh man, I know some of you may not have a lot of interest in AR-15s. If you've ever shot them, I don't know how you could not have some interest in them. Okay, I mean, I know there are FUDs out there who don't, but I think most shooters have tried one of these things in some configuration. Maybe you don't like any of these, but if you've ever tried an AR-15, they are fun. They're not my very favorite rifle, but they're one I'll always own. Like I said earlier, I think no home is complete without one, even if you don't shoot it a lot. I mean, this is Second Amendment protection. This is just a wonderful firearm. And so many calibers available. You can get uppers and so many calibers now, so many cartridges, so many chamberings. Hunting is whatever you're doing, various types of game, just plinking, just the kinds of fun that I have with them, whatever, shooting 2 liters or steel plates, competition, 3-gun matches, just possibilities are endless. So, and that's why I get so many questions about them. And I know I have been kind of bad about them, because it does seem like most of them we have are more expensive ones. Yeah, I mean, they're not outrageous. I have a couple of Colts, in the $1,000 range, or $1,100, $1,200. And just some that we get the opportunity to review happen to be really nice ones, and if a company is willing to send us one to review, maybe even an upstart company or something, and they want to send a really nice sample of what they have, and okay, we'll take it and show folks what we think about it and that sort of thing. So we have ended up with some pretty expensive ones. They don't have to be really expensive. And one thing you might not have thought about, one reason these are in the $600–700 range, and again, this is a blim as part of that reason, but is the furniture on all of them. There's not a lot of fancy furniture. You don't have expensive rails and that sort of thing on there. Otherwise, they wouldn't be $600 or $700. And I think manufacturers also assume that, I don't know, if you are already fairly serious about your ARs, or you're going to get more and more serious as you get into it, you will want to change out the stock anyway, or the rails, the handguards, the sights, the trigger. People tend to put their own preferences on there anyway, so it's generally the higher end guns that you do find the better furniture on, and then people probably waste a lot of money sometimes. They spend a lot of money and they buy expensive stocks that come on there, and then they change those out too. So you could look at that either way. In a way, it is good. They just put the basic stuff on them and keep the price down. And if you want something better, you can put it on yourself. And I used to not be a snob about stocks. That's fine, man. It's adjustable. It's great. But I have come to like some of the replacement stocks, I'll have to say. Can't think of that one. I forgot the name of it. But there's one I have come to like. Recently, I put on a couple of my firearms. And they're especially in Magpul, makes a lot of different models, and so does everybody else under the sun, right? So anyway, what have I not told you about this thing that I do know about it? Like I say, you got a lot of melanite finish, which is supposed to be good stuff. Just typical A2 flash hider. Everything is pretty standard. You got your desk cover there, a forward assist on this particular gun. It feels good, shoots great. I mean, feels good to me. Sights were right on. I put a little sight paint, on the front there. That helps me. And I can't think of it. It's 1 in 7 twist, by the way. Oh, and it has a voodoo barrel. Okay, 1 in 7 twist. So if you know anything about twist, I think that is probably ideal, more ideal, better at least for heavy bullets, but it's okay with lightweight bullets too. So I was shooting mostly 55 grain ammo. Some of it was heavier stuff I shot at first, I think. So if you put it on a bench rest, maybe with a scope, and locked it down, and we're shooting for groups, you would find, as with most rifles, that you would get better groups with certain types of ammo and weight bullets and all that, of course. And many of you do more of that already, so as soon as I say 1 in 7 twist, a voodoo barrel, you know exactly what you have here, because you keep up with this stuff. Even there I go again, better than I do. Even better than I do. No, better than I do, so you know a lot about it, and you know exactly what you're getting. And that's the thing about an AR. The specs tell the story. So on any of these, and especially the one we're talking about today, I'd go to the website, company website, and find out what exactly you're getting, and before you take the dive on any of these. But I don't know, as best I can tell today, I know that I'm not going to say much about those. I know the Ruger has gotten a lot of acclaim, and people are kind of liking it. We'll find out. We haven't even shot it yet. Just got it today, and the M&P seems to be working for people. I don't know. I have shot it some, but not a lot yet. So we'll be moving through those too. And I have shot this one a lot, and I like it fine. And I think I was about to say earlier, I could almost be a convert to a piston system. I find it fascinating how it keeps the bolt clean. I just do, because that's one of the first things I do when I break one down after shooting it. Go to the barn, I start soaking. I spray that bolt down, let it soak. Sometimes just overnight, and it's just a regular practice. You got carbon on there. It doesn't take many shots, you all know, to get carbon starting to build up on the bolt. And I got a little tool I've shown you in the AR cleaning video. I work on it with that and everything. I let it soak, and not that I have to. I'm just a little bit nerdy about keeping, firearms clean. I over-clean them probably, or I clean them more frequently than I'd have to, generally speaking. I just clean them after I shoot them, as I've pointed out before. And even if I've just shot them a few times, usually. But it's just weird, pulling out the bolt and carrying everything, and you could shoot, I don't know, 1,000 times. It's going to look pretty much like it was already clean. So that's pretty neat. John, it's probably a really important call, but we're not going to let you take it. We're talking about serious stuff today, okay? So cut John some slack. Nobody's perfect. So yeah, I could be a convert on a piston-driven gun. Don't know that I will or would. I think I would kind of like to own one. I mean, I wouldn't mind having this gun. I might have to have a piston-driven gun for my collection. I just might because they're kind of interesting. I'll have to say. I need to do a little more research on all the various types of pistons. This one makes sense in what I read about it and how it works with that cup and everything. It sounds like. Even reading some objective articles, and of course what Adams Arms tells us, right? The company's going to, of course, put it in the best light, but it sounds like a pretty nifty design, for a piston system. You can weigh in on that, what you think maybe are some of the better piston systems out there, okay? Not necessarily better than them, but what are some of the good piston systems out there? The ones that people are having a good experience with, that have a good reputation and work, all right? Now, generally speaking, again, a piston gun is going to cost more. It's not going to be in the $600-700 range usually. Again, this is a blim, so to speak. You think I ought to blemish it? We could, let's see, is it unloaded? It is, isn't it? It's definitely unloaded. Why don't we just heave it down there in the gravel and put a blemish on it? Nah, I'll straighten up. So anyway, that's Adams Arms, the AA15. Seems like a nice firearm as best I can tell. And it is a firearm that is affordable, I think, to most people. If you can scrape up that, now it's not cheap. You can't get an AR-15 for $200-300. They're not cheap, not that cheap. But when a lot of them do sell for $1,000 and up, it is kind of cool to see some that run in the $600-700 range that you could buy and probably shoot all you want to trouble-free, be my guess. So. We appreciate y'all dropping in today, and remember the Facebook pages and the Hickok 45 and the Sun YouTube site and Facebook page and Gun Culture Radio. We have a couple things going on there. We don't want you to miss anything that might be interesting to you. All right, so really glad you could drop in this evening. It's a perfect day, other than being really hot. I'm sweating as usual, but it's nice. It's not raining, not snowing. I feel pretty good. I'm not ready to keel over or anything like that. So it's a good day. Life is good. We'd like to thank one of our sponsors, SDI, the Sonoran Desert Institute. SDI has fully accredited distance learning programs where you can get certified in gunsmithing or even an associate's degree in firearms technology. Of course, the study includes hands-on experience, which is important, of course. So check it out. Go to sdi.edu or just click on the link in the description. Okay. And also, we'd like to remind you to check out the Hickok 45 Facebook page and the Hickok 45 and Sun channel and its Facebook page, as well as Gun Culture Radio on iTunes. Now, remember all this because I'm coming to your house randomly over the next year or two to give you a quiz on it, okay? Thank you.